it's something that reflects what our country is built upon. And when I think about people that saw the Statue of Liberty and were inspired by the God-given liberties that are within the image of the statue. How many of you have seen the Statue of Liberty before you came to the United States of America, or even a picture of it? Have you seen, did anybody see the picture of the statue before you came to America? A lot of you. Did it inspire you? Did you think about what was different about America? Because I imagine that that's the case, and I'm fortunate to have been born here. But I also know about my family. And I think of a day, it was April 15th, 2007. We had an immigration hearing. I served in the United States Congress, and your congressman I was when you walked in, and I am especially now that you are now new naturalized American citizens. And we had an immigration hearing in Ellis Island, which was on the video just behind us a little bit ago. We had taken the tour through Ellis Island where so many immigrants had come through throughout the years. And the tour was it was a deep tour where we had a good guide who gave us a lot of the detours, or a lot of the details. And one of them was that Annie Moore was the first legal immigrant to come through Ellis Island into the United States. And there's a bronze statue of Annie Moore there. She came from Ireland. And there have been so many more since then, but on that day, April 15th, 2007, was the 100th anniversary of the largest number of people that were ever processed through Ellis Island. And so as we went through there, and I looked at that great hall, it's like a huge gymnasium, and the boards are worn with so many feet that shuffled across there, coming to their dreams here in the United States. And I realized that my grandmother had come across that great hall and probably carried her little bag as a little girl. And I sat down at that table for that hearing, and as the chairs filled up for people to observe the hearing, much like here today, I was sitting there waiting for the proceedings to begin as the ranking member of the Immigration Committee, and a parks officer brought to me a rolled up scroll. And I didn't know what that was about, but I unrolled that scroll and looked down through it. And there, for the first time, I learned, there was my grandmother's name, Frida Katrina Johanna Harm, then became King, and my great-grandfather, my great-grandmother, my great-aunts and uncles that came over with them were all listed on that ship's manifest from more than 100 years ago. And I looked at those boards on the floor of that great hall, and I realized that I had added to the where, she had added to the where. And I learned that she was from the northern part of Germany, the Schleswig-Holstein area of Germany. And I didn't know what part she was from before then. And when I saw Schleswig-Holstein there on that manifest, I realized that her grandson, only one generation in between, my father and his brothers and his sister, were the only generation between my grandmother who arrived here, and this man who has this extraordinary privilege to serve Americans in the United States Congress. My grandmother would not have imagined that. I hope you can all imagine that, though, because it doesn't take 3 generations to get there. The first generation can't get there. And as I looked at that, I realized that not only was she from Schleswig-Holstein, but I had for a number of years and continue today to represent the 2 sister communities here in Iowa called Schleswig and Holstein, Iowa. The irony of history brings back home the benefits and the benefits of immigration and how America is built. And I look at you here today and I listen to the countries that you're from. I've been to most of your countries, not all, most of them. And I know this, that America is a nation of immigrants. Now, when you say that statement, we should also, so is every other nation. We're a special nation, though, for another reason. People came here for those rights that you see in your mind's eye when you see the Statue of Liberty or the picture of it. God-given liberties. Our founding fathers identified them. They wrote them into the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration is the promise. The Constitution of the United States, which you've taken an oath to uphold, and I have as well, is the fulfillment of that promise. And you're here because you're the dreamers. You're the can-do people. You understood that someplace across that border, across that ocean, wherever you might have come from, that you could get here and you could take advantage of these rights and liberties that are part of being an American. And this, America has then been the beneficiary of the vigor of our immigration system we've had for centuries. It's one of the things that sets us apart. If you would take 10 people that could be in any country in the world, maybe they're all brothers and sisters, The one that's the biggest can-do dreamer person will be the one that'll come to America. Maybe the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth, but who got that first idea? Who was bold enough? Who knew? Who had the confidence that they had the gifts that they can deploy here in America more effectively than where they were in their home country? You. And that's what's built this country. We have God-given rights. We have free enterprise capitalism. You've taken the test. You know all of these things. But I don't think it's on the test about the vigor that you bring to America. That extra dreamer spirit, the can-do spirit. And so America gives to you those God-given rights that are protected here in this country that we try to advance around the world. And you in return have made an exchange of this to make this country an even better place to live in. Pull your share of the load, lift other people up. Help fulfill the dream for all of us. And that's the foundation of what's taking place here today. When you walk out of this courtroom, right now at this moment actually, because that you are American citizens now and naturalized Americans by choice. It took more effort for you than it did for me to be an American citizen. I didn't really have a thing to do with it. I was just blessed with that gift. But it took effort. I remember standing in a ceremony like this at the old executive office building in Washington, D.C. It sits right next door to the White House. This was during the Bush administration. And Emilio Gonzalez was the director of U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. He conducted the keynote speech during that ceremony. And he asked those 40 or 50 or 60 that were there to be naturalized as you are, and there's 15 today. He said, look out that window. And we look out the window of the executive office building, and you look right at the south lawn and the side of the White House. And he said to the newly naturalized citizens, from this day forward, the person who lives in that White House, the President of the United States, is no more American than you are. That's the case for you today. No one in this country can claim Americanism any more than you can claim Americanism. And for me, there's an extra part of this, because I get to see how this works from my neighborhood. And I will tell you that the Haldeans and the Kings have been neighbors for about 3 generations, maybe 4. And I know that Elizabeth went off to the Dominican Republic, fell in love, and today we get an extra celebration because into my neighborhood we can welcome Leo and his family and Amelia along with Elizabeth. For me, it's more personal today because I can see how this works from, well, let's say 3 or 4 generations of Haldeans, and now we have another generation starting here that's tied to the immigration equation. And again, more vigor in my neighborhood, more vigor in Iowa, more vigor in the heartland here around the Siouxland area. And I celebrate this day, I cherish this day, and you'll remember the date on the calendar as the date that you became, now and forever, a naturalized, full-fledged American citizen. Congratulations to all of you. God bless you.